A lot of times we're not given the ability to record or mix a particular song with all the individual parts of the song. A lot of times we get the track as a wave, AIFF, or an MP3, and we then jump on with our vocals and take it from there. And that's not a bad thing, but a lot of times it would be better if we were able to mix the song with the individual tracks. The reason for that is because you get a balance of all the instruments, including the voice, because the voice is an instrument, with everything. Once you balance everything equal to one another, you have a stronger, better, well-balanced track. Now, it's not to say that the person who made the track didn't balance the track, but they've actually probably balanced it opposite of a voice on it. So a lot of times they would make a track, they make a beat, they put it out there, somebody will take it, some rapper or some singer may jump on it, and they'll do their thing. Somebody's able to write to the particular track. But a lot of times the track may have something a bit more poking out or not emphasized enough, and then the vocal that comes on it now does something different to the whole entire song, which makes an interesting challenge for the mix engineer. Now, it's not to say that you shouldn't record that way, nor is it not to say that you should not mix that way. If that's what you're given, that's just what you're given. So a lot of times we're stuck and we don't have what we would like, and we would rather have it the way we would prefer it. Long ago, most people did not record to beats per se. They didn't just have a whole entire track that they recorded to. They actually recorded everything in parts in the way that most typical songs are recorded in. So, for instance, most of the stuff that we hear from eons ago were all done with actual instruments, even if it's including early synthesized parts or drum rolls, and drum samples or drum loops or whatever the case is. These things were individualized and balanced once a singer artist came in and did their thing. It's not a bad recipe to do at all once you are stuck with an MP3. It's convenient. However, that convenience may take away from something else. Now, I've seen lots of songs done in a mixtape form. So you have like an industry track, and that industry track has an artist on it, and they're doing their thing to that particular track. So there's not much altering taking place with the instrumental as it is with the artist jumping on that. I mean, there's not much altering. So there's nothing altered on the beat at all. Maybe a tweak here or there depending on that particular track. But if it were done with the artist in mind, then things would have been possibly different if the artist who did the mixtape could actually get the track stemmed out or individually tracked out. Then they'll have a whole new remix altogether to that particular song. And this is why a lot of times back in the early 80s into the 90s, there were a lot of remixes, and those remixes were always tweaked depending upon the song to the artist, because you're able to alter. For convenience purposes though, it's easier to just do it to a 2-track stereo, and you get to go and you do your thing. There's an artistic sense to 2-track recording and 2-track mixing, depending, like, you have the MP3 and the wave, and the artist is doing their thing, and there's this artistic approach you could actually make with that. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, that's perfectly fine. But a lot of times, tweaking the instrumental becomes something that some producers do to their liking. And it's not always they're thinking about the artist in mind. I mean, this song could be for anybody. They say that there's these Migo type beats and J. Cole type beats, but they're not necessarily meant for J. Cole, or they're not necessarily meant for Migos. I mean, probably it was, they had them in mind when they were making the beat, but the beat now may not actually fit the particular artist or another artist who may like a Migos style beat. And something in the Migos style beat may outdo something for this particular artist. I like Migos beats, but I can't jump on it because there's something that I do that actually conflicts with it. Or maybe you could do something with it and it actually may actually make sense. The point I'm making is whenever you're making an instrumental, make it to your taste, of course, as a producer, but consider a lot of times that you're tweaking stuff to your liking. You want to hear certain things, and you may emphasize that, or you may want to dial down something because you like the way that sounds in this particular part. And that's what makes the producer and the beat maker actually signature to whoever they are. I always liked Dr. Dre and his production. He's done something over the years as he's progressed where the kick has become the emphasis. There was a time where his kicks really stood out. I actually DJ'd something one time and I forgot the lineup, but I actually had something done by Busta Rhymes, and the kick stood out. It was a rap song, and I was not even using anything close to the speakers I have today. And Dr. Dre was doing what he was doing, and his kick stood out tremendously different from the track prior and the track after. And I don't remember what the track was afterwards, but there was a huge difference. I was able to zone in and notice his kicks were completely different from the producers prior and after. And this was like late 90s, early 2000s, where I realized he really zones in on his kicks, and that's something that he likes. As a drummer, I like to emphasize kicks. I like to hear the kick sound somewhat different from obviously the snare. One's a low end and one's a high end. And with that, I like to be able to distinct something. Dr. Dre and I, even though I'm not equivalent to that man, I like the emphasis of a signature kick and a snappy snare similar to Stuart Copeland. Now, for those who don't know who Stuart Copeland is, he's an excellent drummer from the Police, one of my favorite rock bands, and his snares always had this snappability that I think is unmatched compared to other drummers. Other drummers, of course, we all like snaps, but some like deeper snares, deeper, richer sounding snares. Some like higher end, snappy snares. And his snappiness was also very signature. Now, he did not produce himself, but he knew how he wanted his snare to sound, and the engineer knew how to emphasize that sound. And producers usually, they just make tracks, but what are we emphasizing? Or should there be any emphasis on anything outside of just the music being whatever it is? I mean, everybody has their thing. So be mindful of whenever it is that you're making a particular track and you're producing something and you have an artist in mind later on, or you're even doing something for that particular artist. Give them the MP3, the wave, they hear it, they like it, they're ready to record to it. Keep in mind that you may want to actually sell them or give them the actual individual tracks for better balance and manipulation in the mix. Not all mixes are equal to one another, and definitely not all MP3s and home produced tracks are equal to what we would hear commercially. A lot of times you could begin at home. I say begin at home, use whatever you have, but to compete with the market, individual tracks given to the artist to balance more and better is something that one should consider. A lot of times we take the shortcuts because we just don't know about the longer end goal, and we think that the shortcuts will take us there. Depends upon the shortcut. I hope you guys kind of get what I'm saying. I'm not knocking any producers who do these particular techniques. I just know what I would prefer as an engineer. I get a lot of tracks sometimes where something is too pronounced or not pronounced enough. And in the tweaking of it, or in me trying to tweak it, it doesn't always work. You know, mix engineers are not superheroes. We can't make everything perfectly well with what's given to us. There's things that are glued together, and once you make a change here, you make a change in another area. Having the individual components makes for a better balance, and you would find that a balanced song comes from a balanced set of tracks given to the engineer. That's pretty much it. Hope you guys like what I have to give you here today on Zeb's Corner. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit the little belly thing to let you guys know I'm coming with stuff when I'm coming with stuff. And as you know, I'm just not going to say when I'm coming. I'll just see you whenever I see you.